Yo, welcome to episode 2 of Set the Record Straight, where we are setting the record straight on all things pertaining to the Eagles.
Yeah, folks, and guess what? We got a doozy for you in this one. See, because this episode right here, this is the one for me, and this is the one for many out there who have been supporting and rooting for the one QB1, Jalen Hurts, Super Bowl champion Jalen Hurts, Super Bowl MVP Jalen Hurts, folks. And I'm telling you right now that today, this second show, the title of this show is going to be "You Love the Player Now, but You Hated the Pick Then." Pay attention to that real quick. You love the player now, but you hated the pick then, right? See, here's what we're going to do with this, folks, today. Jalen Hurts is a special young man. He's a special talent. He's a different man. This is why he walks around with the shirt saying breed of one, folks. He different. And see, in most instances, when you not like everybody else, you hate it on. You know what I'm saying? And in a lot of instances, when you don't move like everybody else, or you don't talk like everybody else, and you focused while everybody else out here lollygagging and all aloof, people don't like you. And here's the thing with Jalen Hurts, man. I've been watching this young man for a long time. My son knows this. My son has been with me, pertaining to watching Jalen and following Jalen since 2016, when a young man was a freshman phenom, coming out of Houston, Texas, being drafted by Alabama, Crimson Tide. And folks, I moved down here to Alabama, from Philadelphia in 2011. I started watching this young man in 2016, folks. And everybody who knows me, all y'all out there who are tuning into this show, know me and know that I've been supporting that young man since then. So here's the thing about that particular issue and situation with him being drafted. We love him now, especially in Philadelphia. People nationally are starting to come around a little bit. There's still haters out there. Some people that I love, that I heard, made the statement, haters gonna hate, son, and haters ain't never gonna go nowhere. But here's the thing about that young man. Through all of the hate and through all of the individuals that continue to keep on coming at him, that young man stayed focused, and that young man continued to work. And here's the thing about loving the player now, but hating the pick then. I'll take it back to draft day, folks. I remember, man, being in my house, listening to the draft. We had just drafted Jalen Reagor with that first pick in the 2019-2020 draft. And I remember hearing the person that was on the radio giving Eagles fans a hint of who was going to be drafted next. And I remember the gentleman said, folks, you're not going to believe which player is about to be drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles. So as the draft continue and they get to our pick, all I hear is,
with the 53rd pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select Jalen Hurts, quarterback, Oklahoma.
Folks, I jumped out my seat with my mouth wide open like this.
Wow.
Because here's, folks, what I saw. Number one, I couldn't believe that the young man got drafted. This was a young man that I had watched, again, as a freshman from Alabama, going to a national championship as a freshman, losing to Deshaun Watson, coming back into the national championship game and struggling against Georgia, but getting the team there and then being benched for Tua, and then watching a young man stay for a year, sit behind Tua, get himself together, and then transfer out to Oklahoma and literally tear it up in Oklahoma to the point, folks, where he was the candidate, folks, for the Heisman up until the midway point of the season. This young man was a runner-up for the Heisman. And when he's drafted, I heard a lot of people crying in Philadelphia about the pick. Why? Because we already have a franchise quarterback. And here's what we want to set the record straight about with that whole franchise quarterback thing. All you folks out there who love Carson Wentz, I loved him too. But here's the problem, folks. Y'all didn't pay attention to the regression of his game, because much like Philadelphia Eagles fans, we hold on to players to the point where we overlook their flaws for certain people. You could see his regression if you were paying attention, but unfortunately, most didn't. I saw the regression. Everybody out there who knows me know I saw the regression. People in my house who saw me watching these games saw my passion. I kept screaming, dude's not a winner. He don't possess it. We drafted a quarterback that has it. And I screamed that way back when he was drafted. Folks, I didn't care. I stuck to it. And I told folks this young man was going to be a champion. I told them way back then. All y'all who are Eagles fans that are watching this program, y'all know I said it. And now he's a champion, folks. And what we're saying is this. You got to love the pick and then eventually love the player. And that's going to segue us into the draft that we're about to experience this month. Sammy, what you got to say about that draft?
Hey man, y'all gotta stop judging these picks.
Come on, Sammy.
Right? Because
make it plain.
Number one, you're not in the booth. You know what I'm saying, where they make the pick.
Come on.
You don't know the conversations that they're having.
Come on.
And it could turn out to be a good thing, right?
Come on.
To me, I look at the draft as nothing but positive.
Come on.
Right? Number one, it's a new chance for a player to prove himself in the league.
Good point.
And you're getting a new player. That's always fun. That's always fun to acquire a new player, right?
Talk about it.
But like judging these picks before they even throw a pass in the NFL is funny to me. And mainly these comparisons to the players that are coming out. They compare Jalen Hurts to Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill.
A gimmick tight end. Right?
Taysom Hill.
They said he would be playing a little bit of running back and wide receiver.
Come on.
Right? And running jet sweeps.
Running Wildcats.
You know what I'm saying?
Wildcats. We doing
like and that was probably an all-time freaking worst take. You know what I'm saying? So instead of listening to these people, go out and see what they did in college football.
Come on.
Right?
Come on.
Go out and see what they did.
Do your own homework.
And to me, it's harder for quarterbacks than for defensive players. Because defensive players, I laugh, right? I laugh when people say, right, a really good defensive player in college football is going to be bad in the NFL, right? Because name me one player that was really good defensively in college football, barring no injuries, that was really bad in the NFL.
Come on.
There's not a very long list.
Come on.
Right? And so quarterbacks, right? I'm gonna tell y'all the conferences, right? Quarterbacks to stay away from, right? And there's an exception, right? Notre Dame, Tom Brady. He played for Michigan.
He played for Michigan. He's Michigan.
Yeah, Michigan's another exception.
Yeah.
Right? That's an exception.
Yeah.
Tom Brady was an exception at Michigan.
Yeah.
But teams that like to run the ball, you don't draft quarterbacks from there though. You just don't, right?
Talk about it,
son. You want
to
draft quarterbacks from teams that either one have really explosive offenses,
yeah,
or two have just a really good offense in general, right?
Yeah.
And why I like Shedeur Sanders so much, right? People say he's not going to be that good. He already has a taste of what it's going to be in the NFL.
Yeah.
He played with a battle line.
That's right.
Right? And he has an advantage over guys like Bryce Young, right, at Alabama, who have stout offensive lines, right?
Talent everywhere. Talent everywhere.
Across the board.
Talent across the board he played with.
4-star guys
100%.
across the board,
mm-hmm.
right? Playing on an offensive line. Versus Shedeur Sanders, who's out here throwing for 4,000 pass yards and 37 touchdowns with
no offensive line.
Little to no offensive line, right?
Little to no weapons.
You know what I'm saying? He had Travis Hunter. I mean, which is
player.
A great player.
Great player.
I mean, still, I mean, going back to Jalen. Jalen had CeeDee Lamb, right? CeeDee Lamb and no defense, no line, no running back.
And made the playoffs.
Right? You know what I'm saying? And that's the quarterbacks I look for. I look for a guy to do a whole lot with a little, right? A whole lot with a little. That's the guys that are going to turn out to be your superstar quarterbacks in the NFL.
Good point. Yeah, and again, you looking for dogs, folks. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And that's one thing that Jalen Hurts is. He's a dog. Everybody that knows me knows that I've been supporting that young man, telling everybody he a dog. I was telling them he a champion, folks. And a championship player isn't defined by how many yards he throw in a season, folks. A championship player isn't defined by how many touchdowns he throws in a season, folks. A championship player is defined by making big plays and making big daggone decisions and big moments and getting you in big games and winning big championships, folks. He's proven that. He's proven it. and he was already doing this. Go back and take a look at guys, that were there, a part of the team then. Guys like Malcolm Jenkins, well-respected player, who was telling people that the young man was working while everybody else was in lunch eating and things of that nature. He was working. The young man was working. These are the people that you look for, and the only way for you to really get to know or understand that type of a player and the pick is if you watch college ball, like Sammy was saying. Don't let your emotions get in a way when it comes to these players. Philly, we good at that. And one of the things that we got to move away from and setting the record straight is just jumping around and rah-rah and screaming and hollering emotionally about stuff, man. Get to know these players. Get to know the guys that are being drafted. Guys called Nolan Smith a bust. Guys called Jordan Davis a bust. I got content creators that I know that was calling Kobe Dean a bust. They was killing these guys before these guys had a chance to develop. And that's one thing that we not in Philly. We ain't patient. And I constantly hear these guys on the radio talking about where I'm not patient enough. I'm not patient. But guess what champions are? They patient. And if you ain't patient, maybe you ain't a champion. You got to check yourself, because we're past that stage, man, of just being underdogs or just being almost. We champions. And now that we're champions, you ain't got to press. So Philly, why we pressing? When it comes to a guy like Jalen, he's already shown us that he is a championship quarterback. And if nothing else, let this be a lesson, Philly. Stop judging the pick before you really know who the player is that's being drafted. Jeffrey Lurie knew what he was doing when he brought Jalen Hurts in. He knew that the time was winding down for Carson Wentz. Why? Because he ain't have it, folks. Championship players have it.
He quit.
Nick Foles, he had it. And I would go as far as to say this, because I said we're going to be controversial, folks. I told y'all on our advertisement that we was going to be controversial. I would go as far as to say that the Eagles should have traded Carson Wentz after the Super Bowl.
Oh, I agree.
And taken the picks and built the team around Nick Foles. That's why the team struggled, folks. Because you don't win a Super Bowl with a player and then sit the player for another player that you drafted. You destroy the chemistry of the team.
Well, because at that point, you know what I'm saying, he won the locker room.
Come on,
right?
Sammy.
When Nick Foles came out there, right, and made that playoff run he did, he had won the locker room, right?
Talk about it, son.
And you are hurting your team chemistry when you get the guy who essentially played better than the guy that you're benching, and you say, no, we're gonna start him again, you know what I'm saying, and see if he can get this done.
Come on.
And then later that year, when Wentz had his supposed back injury, right? The Eagles were on a run towards the back end of the season with Nick Foles.
Come on.
Right? And as Alshon Jeffrey catches the ball, hey, you're back in the NFC Championship game.
One catch, one drop away.
Like, you know what I'm saying? You can't do that. They should have traded. And on top of that, if you traded him, you could have gotten a farm.
Oh my
now
goodness.
Look where you are.
Yeah. And it's really important, folks, for us to understand. Stop judging these picks. Stop judging them. The players are good, folks. Jalen Hurts is a prime example of that. He's a prime example. Again, and you got all this hate out there and them saying that he's not in the class of whatever.
That's
the Big
ridiculous.
Four. Come on, man. All right. So let's set the record straight on that right now. Here's what I want to understand. And somebody somewhere make this plain to me. Because again, I don't know. I'm in question about this. How in the world can Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, and who else? Josh Allen be put in the same category as Jalen Hurts, or Jalen Hurts be excluded from their supposed category when none of them have championships? Somebody help me understand that. No disrespect, folks, to nobody. I got folks that love Josh Allen. Some folks I love very, very, very much. And there's no disrespect to Josh. What I'm saying is this. You play the game of football to win championships, folks. Last time I checked, every player that suits up with the hopes of hosting a Lombardi.
Shoot, one out of the three can't beat Patrick Mahomes.
Come on, folks. Let's talk about it. The only person in that category that they want to exclude that beat Pat Mahomes is Jalen Hurts. Man, we got to quit doing this.
And Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow lost to Matt Stafford. And y'all want to talk about who's elite or what's elite? I'm going to set the record straight there too. Andy Reid had already showed y'all that Jalen was elite. I'm going to give you the example. The example was at the end of the game when they got the holding penalty. Andy Reid told his player to do what, Sammy?
Hey, they said slide.
Slide.
Not give that man the ball back with time, man.
So if
Andy Reid knew what was up.
Come on. So if Andy Reid is sitting here saying, don't get that man, don't kick the ball off to that young man, what does that say about him? He's elite because you keep the football away from elite guys. What's wrong with y'all out there? Stop doing this. Stop putting these guys in the category just because they throw the ball or got a big arm or throw for 5,000 yards in the season. What did they win? What did Allen win? What did Barrow win? What did Lamar Jackson win? What do they have besides MVPs? Jalen got a trophy. He got a Lombardi on his trophy case. And he got a nice fat ring on his finger.
And he got a Super Bowl MVP.
And he got an MVP. He got something that only Pat Mahomes has, folks. Stop. That's elite. And if you don't like it, Ric Flair said, woo, then you better learn to love it. Because that's the way this goes, folks. You ain't the best until you have hardware. And the hardware in the NFL we're talking about is Super Bowl championships, not passing titles. Not stuff like MVPs, although they're great. You want a Lombardi because a Lombardi is what sets you apart. That Lombardi and that Super Bowl MVP has put Jalen in a category with guys like Pat Mahomes. You only have two guys right now of that bunch that were Super Bowl MVPs and got Super Bowl championships. Pat Mahomes, Jalen Hurts.
I just want y'all to tell me the value of throwing for 5,000 yards.
Talk about it, Samuel.
38 touchdowns and missing the playoffs.
Pow.
Hold on.
I mean, like, I hate to be like that, but it's just like, tell me the value. Tell me as I don't know, the Bengals, for example. Tell me as a Bengals fan what you get out of that.
Make it make sense.
Our quarterback's pretty good.
Make it make sense.
I mean, that's really all you get out of it. Our quarterback, hey man, he can throw the ball. He could throw the football. That's all you get out of throwing for a whole lot of yards and losing and putting up numbers. And man, that would make me sick to my stomach, man.
Come on, man.
Like, because like that's ridiculous, man. Or like going to the playoffs, right? And but we got the MVP though. But like he hasn't won anything of real value in it. So what is he gonna go down? Like when he retires, he's just gonna known for a guy that won the MVP.
Primarily,
you know, a guy that was really good and he won an MVP, like or a Super Bowl champion. Which one? And that's my question, y'all. Which one would you rather have?
What a question.
Which one would you rather have?
What a question, son.
A Super Bowl MVP or an MVP? MVP of the regular season.
Let's set the record straight, folks. We're about to wrap this show up. It's time to wind down, but I'm hot. I'm hot like fire because I'm tired of the nonsense that all these guys on these shows and jumping on talking about who's elite, who's not elite, what decides that. And I hear guys talking about, well, there are many guys who weren't elite that won Super Bowls. Nah, come on now, cool out. Jalen is different. Jalen was a Super Bowl MVP. The guys they're talking about were not. This is the difference. For those guys on them shows, I ain't saying no names, talking about there's a long list of people on who won Super Bowls. No, that young man got the MVP because he was a major contributor to the win.
But you think about it, and there's an even longer list of MVPs.
Come on. So listen, folks, we got to close this thing down. I got to calm myself down. Jalen is my guy, man. And now everybody's behind him. But they wasn't behind him then. And no one knows what that young man had to go through then to get to where he is now. Stop judging these picks, folks. Start doing your own study. Do your own research. Don't listen to these commentators. Do your research. Jump on for yourself so that at that point you can make a good judgment. And that's setting the record straight for the second episode with Sam and Sam. Holla.
Peace.